Welcome to More Than Dentistry, where your hosts Evert and Waldo discuss life, dentistry, and everything in between with dentists around the world.
Hello and welcome to the More Than Dentistry podcast.
That's hot seat.
Peter, thank you so much. Peter, we just couldn't not speak to you while you're here. You are the founder member of Study Group 1 and Study Group 2, and we've spoken about all of that and how many people have learned so much from study groups and how much it's meant to all of us. So we firstly want to just say thank you for that. You've seen dentistry grow through a lot of changes the last few years since you've also retired. You've probably seen certain things. What excites you about what you're seeing, and what are things that you're concerned about looking at dentistry maybe in South Africa's point of view, and then maybe, I don't know, worldwide, how in feel we are sometimes with our quality, where we're going as dentists. So you stay most of the year, you stay in South Africa and you go to Europe. Maybe you can give us a little bit of your point of view in regards to that.
Thanks, Altus. I think you asked so many questions, I can't remember them all. Okay, you've got to understand at my age. Okay, I need a checklist. Okay, but let me answer the last one first, because it's the only one I remember. Okay, and what is the difference between the UK dentistry and South African dentistry? I've never practiced in the UK, even though I was registered in the UK, but I had a lot of friends in there, went into a number of practices, okay. And believe it or not, the UK dentistry has come up an enormous amount, okay. It's definitely no longer the really poor stepchild, okay, to South African dentists. It's no longer a case of South African dentists going over there being the cream of the crop straight away. So, whereas they do things, it's quite interesting. We as South Africans tend to actually look for South Africans. I'll give you an example. My granddaughters all four of them needed to have some kind of orthopedic or orthodontic work done.
Yes.
And who did we contact? Simple. Through the study group, okay, we actually said, well, who are the guys that really are good, okay? And Francois Rousseau came up, okay? Went through, spoke to him, and it's been absolutely fantastic, all right, because he falls straight into the same category as Study Group 2. What are my thoughts in terms of where we're going, what we're doing, what's happened in the last years? One of the great things for me is that I'm still, Darby hasn't kicked me off the WhatsApp group, all right, okay, so I'm able to actually read, even though I'm not active at all on it, and there's a very simple reason for that. Okay, you can only be active if you're actually going to contribute. Too many of these sort of groups are the active people are the critical people. Okay, but for me it is so exciting. You put on cases, where Ernst's done a case, Waldo's done a case. I watch what you and Evert, the positions that you've actually taken in the study group. Okay, the baton is definitely being passed on. That for me is hugely exciting, because I actually don't care too much about the other 80% of dentists in the country. They will never actually aspire to, or don't want to aspire to, excellence in dentistry, all right? And so I just see a great future, okay? And, your interview with Johan, there was one absolute pearl of wisdom there, okay? And that was when you asked him what toys he would invest in. And he turned around and he said, I would invest in people. Okay, absolutely awesome, Johan. Because that, I think, is the actual credibility of understanding what dentistry is actually about. Okay, because it's about people first. Okay, and all the other things, the techniques and so on. We said that a patient judges you on, and again, the pearl of wisdom, okay, on your bedside manner or on your ability to be able to talk to or communicate with a patient.
Yes.
other dentists judge you on your skills. In other words, the beautiful work that we've seen, okay, that's the dentist judging the dentist, okay. The patient, might well have a tear in her eye when she sees how beautiful the work is, but that tear is soon gone, okay. Whereas we look at the stuff and we say, wow, you did that beautifully, all right. And that for me is the absolute beauty and essence of study group, all right. What's the power of the study group? Okay, I think there are a couple of things that really contribute to it. The first one is that, and again, Johan mentioned it, like-minded, okay? And that's why, if I'm honest, okay, study group 1 failed in terms of what my vision was, maybe not in terms of the people who are running it now, what their vision was because it got too big, where the result is you had the CPD followers, all right, and you had maybe 5 or 6 people who contributed. The other were merely there for no other reason other than to get CPD points or to actually be in the elite group, okay. And for me, study group 2, the absolute powerhouse here is that you have, without question, probably the best 15 dentists, bar 1 or 2 who chose not to be here, okay, in the actual province as such, all right, and that's the power. The second thing is that it's an honest group, okay. In other words, you can sit up there and show your mistakes. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to actually, in fact, it's the only way you can learn, believe it or not, is through screwing up, okay. And when you share this, okay, guess what? Okay, you don't actually have to do it 4 times, okay, before you actually sort of say, whoops, sorry, okay. You actually share that stuff there. Yeah. And then the last thing, which is without question the most important thing about this group, okay, is that you have fun, all right. And when it's fun, okay, everybody just ticks the box and says, wow, that was fantastic. And in fact, I'm so glad I came up this time, and thank you, Michelle, for twisting my arm. And I am so jealous. Okay, I really am. I look at this and I say, oh, why aren't I 20 years younger? Why am I not in this just doing this magnificent stuff? Because when you walk away, okay, and particularly Everett and some of your stuff, okay, you absolutely blew my mind. Really, it was absolutely stunning. It's second to nobody in the world. Okay, and trust me, I've read and seen a lot on the other side. Okay, and it's just brilliant.
No, it's wonderful, Pete. In your time, who was the guys that you looked up to, guys that you saw as mentors? I mean, who was the guys that drove you to next level of dentistry? What was your drive? What drove you to just step up to a next level and push harder?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question, Altus, and I'll tell you why. Because my first real mentor was L.D. Pankey, all right, in the Pankey Institute. Yes. He was 82 years old. There were only 4 of us in his lecture, and I listened to him. And the man didn't actually talk about dentistry, but I had already seen a lot of his dentistry. And in the 50s, he was doing what we were trying to do in the 80s, all right? And he was absolutely inspirational. Well, the result is that I had a large practice then, okay? I had 3 dentists working for me, 2 hygienists. I had 13 girls running around the place, and 2 of them were always in tears in my office in the morning, and it was just dreadful, okay? And I went over to the States, did his continuum courses, and came back, and I broke my practice into 3, and I took 1/3 of it home, where I was practicing on my own, because I wanted to reinvent the actual way that I was going to work, and everything was geared against to occlusion and to TMJ. Even to the extent that I tried to do my own inlays and overlays and so on. And you have never seen such a cock up in your life. Okay, it's, so all of that stuff was bought and it was sold. Okay, at a great loss. And but that was in 1983. In 1986. Because I was practicing alone, I didn't have any interaction with other dentists, all right. And you'd go to the in those days it was DASA, you go to the Southern Transvaal branch, okay, and you'd listen to absolute crap, okay, rubbish, all right? Well, the result is that there was no learning process, all right, and the only learning process I had was poor telecommunications with a couple of people that I'd actually done the course with, okay, we were either sitting in Australia, or in, one of them was in, believe it or not, Rhodesia in those days, or Zimbabwe as it had come, and so on. And that was when the idea came to actually get in the people that I really wanted to, or I valued their information. And it was interesting because the people that I got in were mainly specialists, all right? So I had an orthodontist, I had a maxillofacial surgeon, I had a periodontist, I had a prosthodontist in there, and then I had about 4 or 5 of what I considered to be the really great general dentists who could actually have an opinion and who weren't frightened to take on the specialist. And what was interesting, the evolvement was that the specialists never grew, but the dentists grew enormously. Okay, and I mean, we just had wonderful times because the people like Lemmer, Professor Lemmer, and so on, they were inspirational. Okay, I mean, he was an absolute disciplinarian, but I want to tell you something. That mind was just absolutely unbelievable what he knew and didn't know. You know, and then you also had you know, a couple of the people who taught you what not to do. Okay, and that also became something very important. Okay, and from that it grew a whole lot of other things. But that's really was setting up a mentorship, all right, and these were the people that sort of helped me. Okay, because I was a sole practicing dentist. Okay, and in retrospect, I'm envious of, you know, the dentists at Health, all right. For example, and even Darby, when he had a couple of people working for him, okay, Evert, with 3 of you in your practice, all right, because you have a support structure, all right. It's always somebody you can go and ask, okay, and you know what? Nobody ever knows it all, okay. Even when you think you're just getting on top of it, okay, something comes back to bite you.
So these guys, practically, what did you do? Did you contact these guys that you identified as possible guys and said, let's get together, let's start talking together, or did you practice together, or how did you manage that?
No, there was an involvement there. What happened is they got invited, okay, and again we were quite careful. For example, my maxillofacial was Mark Nissenbaum, okay. He was a real forward thinker, and he was interesting, and it wasn't just maxillofacial, all right. The periodontist was John Lemmer, all right. The prosthodontist who started off was Sheldon Jones, okay, because he had done the Pankey course with me. So we were both on the same line in terms of occlusion and so on. And so what I did is I phoned up, and there were about 8 people to start. I phoned them up and said, listen, Friday, once a month, every Friday we're going to go to Gatriel's, and you pay your own, you divide the bill, we pay our thing, and we talk dentistry, and I had a private room there. And it just grew and it grew and it grew and it grew, okay, and eventually we had just a brilliant sort of maybe 15 people, and that's when it went wrong for me, and it was my fault, not anybody else's fault, because everybody wanted to join, you know, geez, we hear you've got a study group, won't you join? And I wasn't strong enough to turn around and say, whoa, no, okay, and so I said, let's enlarge it, okay, and that's when it lost its the wheels that drove it.
Because I think that message maybe be for somebody out there that's wanting to do something like that is to you know, phone up a few guys and start something, you know, because at the end the group can only be that big, you know. So hopefully for future reference, one would want many study groups to be everywhere. You'd want everywhere people to get together, like-minded people to start having their own study groups. Because as soon as you grow past a certain amount of people, it's difficult to have that interaction. It's difficult when you've got 40 people sitting around the table. It's actually, this weekend, it's actually a nice sized group because everybody's interacting and everybody's involved. And I think you've also said that the key about study group is that people participate. people bring something to the table. People are involved in the whole process. So I think that's a key to one of the keys to success is not letting the group grow too big, and to make sure that everybody participates in what we're busy doing. Peter, so at the moment you're in St. Francis Bay, and one of your big loves are still motorcycles or
Yep.
riding
Yep.
around with that. Did you drive here this weekend, or did you drive to East London, or what did
I came to East London by motorbike. Yeah.
Yes. And you spoke about the influence of your brother also in regards. It sounds like quite an interesting
I know
character.
my brother's a crocodile Dundee. Again, just lucky to have a brother who, and it sounds a bit of a cliche, but really is your best friend. And I mean, we've been best friends right from. It was about the age of, I think he was 11, I was 13. Okay, he then became taller than me and stronger than me. Okay, so I knew that I had to be his best friend. And it's been fantastic because he has an absolute passion for flying and motorbikes and adventure and so on. Okay, well, the result is we've done a lot of things together, and it's special. It really is. Yeah.
Well, that links in nicely with my next question in regards to what family means to you, and also talking about what we spoke with Johan about longevity and what your role in your family, healthy family life, healthy work life,
Right.
and the balance in all of that. How did you, maybe a side question, manage all of that?
Again, I would never be prescriptive on this, okay, and suggest to anybody that they have to think like me, but cross anybody in my family, you cross me, okay, is my theory, okay. Family come first every which way. And I'm just absolutely blessed, okay, because I do have the most amazing family, okay, and it's never a duty, it's always a pleasure, all right. Yes, it does throw us a bit. My wife's overseas at the moment, all right, because she's actually doing grandma duty, okay. But at the end of the day, that's because we choose to be there, not because we have to be there. And how important is it for me? It is the be-all and end-all, okay. And I think from family life, okay, comes various other things, okay. That for me is the first dynamic, or the first ring, right. The second one would be the community or profession, okay, and that would be my second responsibility, okay, or the business or whatever it is. And so, as far as family goes, that's the be-all and end-all for me.
And I mean, adventure, and you also flew aeroplanes. That part of life, bringing adventure into your life, and what did that mean to you through your stages, you know? Because I think sometimes dentistry can become like pedantic, you know. It's nice to have a bit of adventure going.
I think I was very lucky in the timing, okay, of when I became a dentist in the golden years, okay, where you could screw up so badly, okay, and you could still make it, okay, and it was a dreadful first 3 years of my private life, okay, because I knew nothing, and of course you don't know what you don't know, all right, and but it still allowed me to continue to be a dentist and to grow and so on, okay, but I was also very lucky in terms of structure, okay, and having people like LD Pankey and having people like Danny Pretorius and having sort of other people in the profession who were able to sort of be role models, right? And I knew that dentistry was certainly a major part of my life, but it wasn't all my life, okay? A certain amount went to the family, okay, and then the other part went to having fun. But we did it as a family, you know. I bought a place down in St. Francis in the early days in 1984, 85, and every single holiday the kids came down to St. Francis, irrespective. And I mean, even to this day, they regard St. Francis as home.
Yeah.
Okay, and now even the little guys, the grandchildren, are talking about, you know, our home in St. Francis, you know, which is wonderful. And so from an adventure point of view, again, it was a balance of my life. Okay, I would have felt cheated if I hadn't have tried these things, you know. So I've tried outrageous things, and succeeded in some, failed in others, okay, but you know, if you don't try, you don't know. And And so that's where I am. Thank goodness I can still ride a motorbike at this stage, okay? But I've no doubt that there'll be a three-wheeler somewhere along the line with ferry wheels or something, okay, in the near future, yeah.
Your wife, does she ride with you sometimes?
Yeah, very much so. And again, she's a very special lady, all right, because I don't think she actually likes it very much, okay? But she pretends to, okay? And she'll sit on the back and happily do whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think she'd much rather be on the golf course and doing those sort of things, but she's an exceptional person.
You know, we speak about financial decisions a lot, the business of dentistry, but they say the best financial decision you can make is staying with the same wife, you know. Divorce is heavy expensive, you know.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that that families played that big a role in your life, and I think, you know, having good values, having a healthy lifestyle is important, you know. I think dentistry has got its challenges already, and I think if you've got other issues going on in your life, it just becomes difficult. I think talking about the young dentists again, if you looking back at over your life, what advice would you give to young guys starting out in dentistry in South Africa? Would you advise them to go overseas? Would you advise them to stay in South Africa? Would you advise people to go into dentistry? What's your view on that?
First off, I personally wouldn't give advice on a general basis, okay? I think everyone is so different, okay? I think that you're going to get a group of dentists who qualify who think they know it all and will end up actually going overseas. I think you'll get another group that might actually sort of, again, think they know it all and end up trying to open their own practices, okay? And then you're going to get that special sect, okay, which will actually be attracted to the likes of you, Waldo, Evert, and so on, okay? And they will be looking at you for advice, just as in your earlier days you looked at Johan or Darby or whatever for advice, okay? And those are the people that would interest me. And what advice would I give them? I would advise them to, it's really a case of read, watch, do, all right? And exactly like you were talking about earlier, where Jan was talking about earlier, where he went to watch people working and so on. And again, I think if somebody were to come and watch you or watch Darby or watch Johan or Evert or whatever it is, okay, again, it would actually cement their position in South Africa, and those are the dentists you want to stay here, and those are the dentists that you want to actually run practice. There'll always be 80 or 90% of the practices run on drill, fill, and bill basis, all right? And you're going to have, I hope, as high as 10%, I doubt it though, okay, that will run practices like yours and yours, you know, and those are the practices that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the other stuff, okay, I really am not. So, do I think there's a future? Yes, for the sect that really actually are, as Johan said, committed.
Exactly. I agree with you. Peter, thank you so much. We
Pleasure.
appreciate you, and we appreciate you coming to study group this weekend. We hope to see you at more study groups
Pleasure.
in the future, and just sharing your, call it, pearls of wisdom. You know, I think we look up to you, and you've really been a mentor to all of us. And we want to thank you for starting this group. It's meant so much to all of us, and thank you for